No nos importa. It does not matter to us what you need to do. You have to do for yourself. So do whatever works for you, always. That's always the case. I always have people popping in and out. They're popping in and out because the AC guy is in, you know. I had
got a plumber here right now.
Yeah, I had somebody popping out today because they had roofers over. Well, of course, these things happen. These things happen. Okay, here comes Susan. We'll see. And Susan's old one is still showing up. That's interesting. And that's the second time that happened. Huh. Okay. Oh, we got tech support. Ha! Muy bien. Okay. Right. Bueno, y sí. Bienvenidos, bienvenidas, bienvenidos y bienvenidas a todos. Bueno, vamos a empezar. Estoy grabando. I am recording for those who are going to watch later. And today we're going to hopefully cover lots of ground and catch up with our article and do all kinds of other stuff we didn't have time for before. I'll probably ask your opinions about a couple of things. I want to start out with reminding people Monday is the first day for registration for all of your classes through Scottsdale for fall. Fall registration starts Monday, 8 a.m. If you're across the border in Phoenix land instead of in Scottsdale, then it's Tuesday, of course. But of course, online registration easiest. And remember, the oddball thing is they have split fall into 2 sessions. So if you want classes in both of those fall sessions, you have to sign up for both fall sessions because, yeah, it's the snowbird thing. So do remember that because it's a little bit harder to remember when you're signing up. Okay. Muy bien, vamos a empezar. ¿Dónde está?
I have the numbers. The numbers are 28708 and 315.
You know what? Let me put it in the chat box here. I should have it. I actually have a physical copy. I actually went down to the center to get a physical copy, and they had to unlock the doors to allow me in because it was locked up. I did not realize that.
For them, stay safe.
Oh,
it is. I give them credit.
They lock the doors. They have to let you in. They have to let you out.
I give them credit. Yeah. So 28708, right, for fall number 1. And let's see. My eyeballs on the end. 30015. Is fall number 2, if you need that to copy that down from chat box. If you're like me and you can't remember more than 3 numbers in a row, listen to one of those things on NPR of how you too could learn to memorize 20 numbers consecutively. What drug are these people on? My God, no, I can't do beyond 3. My husband can. There's the difference. Yeah, I cannot.
Why would you? Why would you need to?
Well, that's what I like to point out. However, I am met with derisive laughs when I point this out. Well, of course it could be useful because of, I'm sure it could be for remembering registration. Yes, it could be helpful.
All your account numbers.
There you go. Or account numbers. Yeah. Well, you know, and the only reason I remember Social Security is that we all had to do it to register for anything in college. And because of that, I have memorized it. But do I know my children's? It's written down. And I told them, we both told them, you should memorize this. But they look at us like, what planet did you drop off of? No one does that. They probably don't. Okay, vamos a empezar. We're going to begin. Enough of my blathering. On and on and on. Yo invito. Vamos a empezar con un recorrido. We're going to begin with a tour, a little tour of our Destinos. Momentito, I got to get my share screen on. And that yo invito is very, very deceiving because yo invito any sane person would just say, well, that means I'm inviting. Well, it does mean I'm inviting. It does indeed mean that, but it has an extra special meaning in certain cases. And yo invito, in a case like this scenario, which is where they start out, it means my treat. As we would say in English, my treat, or I'm paying. And I know yo invito does not mean I'm paying, but when somebody says yo invito, or more importantly, they're more likely to say yo te invito, or los invito if you've got a group of people. It's saying it's my treat that I will be the one paying. Bueno, entonces tenemos aquí a los dos novios, ¿sí? El exnovio. And they do say my treat, or as I like to say, I'm treating, yeah. Bien, los dos novios que todavía no saben que los dos son novios. Uno, el antiguo novio. Antiguo novio es como former. Antiguo sounds like antique, and it can mean antique. Antiguo, if we put it before novio, would mean former boyfriend, or viejo novio, former boyfriend, one who is no more. Okay, not a boyfriend who is old, but a former, used to be boyfriend. Y aquí tenemos a la pobre Raquel que baja en el ascensor. Aquí sí, esta máquina se llama un ascensor. Un ascensor, ¿sí? Ascensor es elevator, ¿no? Ascensor es elevator. Y ella baja en el ascensor y solamente para encontrar los dos. Y el pobre Arturo, sí. La pobre está muy incómoda. La pobre está muy incómoda. Porque en este punto, Arturo todavía no sabe quién es este hombre. Se llama Luis. Bueno, ¿quién es Luis? Okay.
Bueno, pues.
So how did Luis know that she would be coming down the elevator?
Sus no sabía. He didn't really know. They kind of just slipped that one in under the radar. Okay.
Coincidence, I think. Yeah.
What does the IESTA mean? The IEST?
Oh, I can tell you because I got fooled by that before. It's an upside down exclamation point.
That's yes.
In front of
yes.
Oh,
I had to think. It was like, what do you mean? Oh, yes.
What word that was.
Right.
Thank you.
This is one of the few languages I want to say, because I know French does not do this. I'm quite sure Italian does not. But right, with the big punctuation marks of exclamations and question marks. In writing, you always see one inverted at the start of the sentence and the other one regular way that we're accustomed to. Sí, esta, and here this is esta, and she means this situation. Esta sí, esta sí es una verdadera sorpresa. This really is. This, yes, is a true surprise, but we would say, yes, this really is. That's the way you say it really is. You inject the word sí, yes. And that makes something emphatic. It means, wow, it's really. Okay. La pobre, sí.
Arturo y yo íbamos a cenar.
Íbamos a cenar. We were going to eat dinner. Fíjense, sí. We use this imperfecto. If you want to say somebody was going to do anything, you cannot use ir in pretérito to say that. You cannot. It is always done as íbamos a. Iba a manejar a Phoenix. I was going to drive to Phoenix. If you were going to do something, we have to put that going to in imperfecto, okay, to make it a past idea.
¿Quieres
Y
cenar con nosotros?
yo no invitaría. I would not invite, but hey.
No, gracias. No quisiera ser.
No quisiera ser. He's being super polite with that quisiera. No quisiera. I would not want to be
A bother.
a bother. I would not want to be a bother. Wow, a great opportunity. She should have
Take it.
stuck her foot in the door and said, okay, another time, but no. Pero no.
Era una molestia.
It was the 80s.
But actually, no, he is being the true gentleman. I forgot. Oh, it was the 80s. Yeah, but he's being the true gentleman. No hay ninguna molestia. Oh, no bother at all.
No hay ninguna molestia.
Anda, ven.
Bueno, si insisten.
If you
Pero
insist.
yo invito.
But it'll be my treat.
No, faltaba más. Invito yo.
No, my. Yeah, the duel of the two suitors.
No, señor. Yo los invito.
You.
Noche en que Raquel quería estar a
Okay.
solas con Arturo.
Quería estar a
Luis.
solas. She wanted to be alone. And they just show us a little bit about what is, and you guys know how we order food. So, that probably was not a big revelation. Probably only one revelation I will point out towards the end.
Pero vivo desde hace
He
muchos-
asks if he's Mexican American too, like Raquel. See? La pregunta fue, the question was, ¿eres mexicano americano? Y él dice, no, soy mexicano, pero vivo desde hace muchos años. Vivo desde hace, for a long period, since a long time ago. I've been living in, but he keeps it in present. When you keep that in present and you have a desde hace, it means I've been living. I know there's no living here, is there? There's no viviendo, not estaba viviendo hace, no. Vivo desde hace muchos años. I have been living here for many years in the United States. That's what that means. But they keep vivo to indicate that I've been living there for many years and I'm still living in the US for many years. So that's why the vivo has to stay in presente.
Los años en los Estados Unidos.
Claro, ahí conoció a Raquel.
¿Sí?
That's where you met. Not you knew. If you want to say you used to know, Raquel, it would be conocía. But conoció, donde conoció a Raquel, where you met Raquel. And he says, nos conocimos. We met each other. Putting the nos in front of conocimos makes it we met each other.
Nos conocimos en la Universidad de California. ¿Te acuerdas?
Yeah, you remember? Yeah.
Después, los años en Nueva York, por razón.
But now he does say, and he limits it with many years. Vivimos dos años en Nueva York. I lived in New York for many years for work reasons.
Pero ahora he vuelto a Los Ángeles para quedarme.
Oh, we got the side eye. Okay. He vuelto. Here is that present perfect. He vuelto. I have returned. Vuelto comes from volver. Volver has a funky, irregular past participle. So if he wants to say, I have returned, because that makes it recent past, yeah? Ahora he vuelto a Los Ángeles. Now I have returned to Los Angeles para quedarme, to stay. Yeah. And he gives the side eye. He's hoping to get a similar side eye. Good luck, buddy.
Algún hombre habrá habido en tu vida.
Oh, and he's asking, was there some man in your past? He's remembering. Now, Arturo es muy listo. Arturo is one smart cookie. So he's piecing together, yeah, this and that. Yeah, this must be the guy. This must be, he's remembering he had asked her because, you know, he himself is divorced and he had asked her about, wasn't there some special guy? And yeah, so she had said this. So he is putting two and two together.
Ciudad de California. Él estudiaba administración de empresas.
Okay, so we figured that out. Ah, now we get the other slightly uncomfortable question that comes up.
Ya. ¿Y qué hacías tú en Buenos Aires?
What were you doing in Buenos Aires?
Asuntos de trabajo.
Work stuff. Asuntos would mean like topics. Asuntos, business affairs. Not affairs of the heart, you know, business affairs, business dealings, stuff for work, business reasons.
Hacía una investigación.
I was doing an investigation, yeah.
Es una larga historia.
Es bonita esa pulsera.
Oh, nice bracelet. And you know Arturo's got to be sitting there going,
Yeah. Way to
that's
go.
mine, baby. Suck on that one, baby. Yeah, okay.
Ay, gracias. Es un regalo de Arturo.
Okay, like we need a, yeah, oh, okay. She's hoping Luis will get the idea. If this is a gift and it's gold, he shelled out some bucks for this one. Yeah, and he knows this. Yeah, I got this covered, dude.
¿Y Arturo?
Oh, what are you working? Here's the fun part.
Soy
Yeah. No, I like it.
también doy clases en la universidad.
Oh, yeah, I'm a psychiatrist and I give classes as well.
No sé si creo en la terapia psicológica.
Oh, I don't know if I believe in psychological therapy.
¿No cree usted que las personas deben resolver sus problemas por su propia cuenta?
Oh, don't you really think people should solve their problems on their own? Por su propia cuenta. Cuenta is an account. Por su propia cuenta is on their own account, literally, but we would say on their own or by themselves without outside help. So por su propia cuenta means on their own. On their own. Uh-oh.
Bueno, eso depende del problema, ¿no?
Well, that depends on the problem.
Si usted sufriera una enfermedad física grave,
Sufriera comes from sufrir. Anybody got a guess at how we would say this? Si usted, if you,
Suffer from.
if you were, yeah, and we'll plug in a word. If you were suffering,
You're seriously ill.
you're a serious physical illness, right? Enfermedad is a sickness, an illness, a disease.
¿no consultaría con un médico?
Wouldn't you consult a doctor? Consultaría. Often they pair up this odd looking thing. That sufriera is what they call a past subjunctive. And often in what they call a si clause, because si means if in this sense, they pair up a funky, weird looking, where did that verb come? I know it looks like sufrir, a past subjunctive with a conditional verb on the other side. So what it means, like, if you were to be suffering, it's contrary to fact, you're not suffering, but if you were, wouldn't you? And when we want to say somebody would do something, and the C clause is what they call a hypothetical situation. And it's always set up like this, a past subjunctive, and then what they call conditional. And conditional, like future, conditional means somebody would do something. So they're not really at this moment. Hypothetically, they would do it if put in that position. And the would do it is built upon the whole verb, just like future is. So just like future did not get rid of the AR, ER, IR at the end, so too conditional, these two tenses, future and conditional, futuro condicional. They are built upon keeping the whole infinitive, and then we tag on a little ending. And this ia ending looks like imperfecto. We had comía, right? Vendía. You have aprendía, right? Those ia endings. We use the same set of ia endings, ia, ias, iamos, but we tag it onto the whole infinitive. And when we take those things that look like imperfecto for ER verbs, but we tag it onto the whole infinitive, it means conditional. I would do this if were faced with that situation. So that's what the consultaría means. Wouldn't you consult a doctor? I guess that shut him up. Yeah. Incómodo, but good for you, Arturo. Buena idea. Okay. Y hablamos. Oh, and notice he says con permiso when he leans in. Just con permiso. What does he mean by con permiso?
Excuse
permission.
me, I'm interrupting.
Literally it means with your permission, but con permiso is one of the like 3 or 4 different ways to say excuse me. So when you know you got to lean in, when you know you have to get up and leave a group and you don't just don't want to do it without telling people, you know, you want to excuse yourself. This is one of the ways to excuse yourself in a very, very quickly, con permiso. Con permiso, because he's got to reach in, right? So con permiso, you will hear when somebody reaches in or when somebody needs to get up from the table and leave suddenly for whatever reason, okay?
Gracias.
Están listos para ordenar? Are you guys ready to order? And of course, then they place all their little orders. Oh, and of course, being a good Argentino, Arturo asks for a nice steak and he says, un plato surtido. We've got an assorted plate with, you know, a few other things here. So, okay. They go on with that. Oh, vino tinto. You see that they ordered for wine.
Traiga mejor una botella de vino.
Una botella de vino tinto. Vino tinto is not tinted wine. It is
Red.
red wine. We never order red wine saying vino rojo. You might say el vino rojo es, or el vino tinto es rojo. You might, if you're explaining the word tinto, you might use it, but people always call red wine vino tinto. Oddly enough, white wine is vino blanco, but not red wine. We don't use the rojo, it's tinto. And notice she uses a command. Traiga. Traiga mejor, better bring. Traiga mejor. Traiga is bring, and she uses it as an usted command. She doesn't say trae because they're in a formal, very nice restaurant. So it's traiga, bring, please.
Con todo gusto.
Pues salud.
Salud, of course, they toast to each other. That's the way you always say salud. So we're going to show you one other little exchange here between entre los hermanos.
Es muy tarde.
And he's now seeing these things his father had written. Roberto had not seen these before.
El mar,
And
mi inspiración. Y mi
it's not that
destino
part that is in question, but
Qué increíble, ¿no?
¿Has notado cómo se miran Raquel y tío Arturo?
has notado, have you noticed? Have you noticed how Raquel and Uncle Arthur
Look at each other, yeah.
look at each other? And this again, like the nos conocimos, we met each other. This is a reflexive for we did this to each other. They looked at each other, okay? Se miran. And she's going to use a C phrase
Hacen
again.
una buena pareja.
They make a good pair, good
Si se
couple.
casara,
If they were to get married, si se casaran, if they were to get married, she's going into hypothetical land.
entonces Raquel sería nuestra tía.
Oh, then the Raquel would be our aunt. And would be, she takes ser, the whole verb ser, does not get rid of the er. And sería nuestra tía, she would be our aunt. So we've got this, again, the funky, weird looking past subjunctive paired up with, in the second part of the sentence, the conditional, she would be our aunt. Okay. Y aquí tenemos el pobre Juan. Juan llega a casa y encuentra que Patty no está en casa. Llega a casa después de volar desde México hasta Nueva York y llega a casa, pero no encuentra a Patty. Patty no está en casa. ¿Dónde está Patty? ¿Dónde está Patty?
Theater. Theater.
En el teatro. Ella estaba en el teatro. El pobre está a solos. Ay, está muy solito. He's very much on his own. Bueno, y están ensayando. They are rehearsing.
¿Sigues trabajando en la misma compañía?
No, al poco tiempo de estar en Nueva York, encontré una mejor oferta de trabajo.
I found a better job offer shortly after getting to New York. Renuncié. I resigned my former. Oh, we've got antiguo. Puesto is a post, a position, a job. Mi antiguo puesto. I resigned my former job. Antiguo makes it former, used to have it.
Así que renuncié a mi antiguo puesto y me fui a esta nueva compañía.
And I went off, me fui. I took off for this new company.
Me ha ido muy bien, no
It's gone very well for me.
me puedo quejar.
I can't complain.
Soy ahora vicepresidente de la compañía.
I'm a VP. Good for you.
¿Y por qué has decidido regresar a Los Ángeles?
Estamos por abrir una oficina en Los Ángeles.
Estamos por abrir.
We're done.
He does not mean we're for opening. We're in favor of, no. Estamos por abrir, we're about to. Estamos with por, you might think, wow, por was an odd word. Why did they say estamos por? Estamos por abrir, we're about to. We're just going to do this, whatever the second verb is. So we're just going to open a new office in LA.
¡Qué bien!
Me gustaría quedarme a vivir en Los Ángeles.
I'd like to stay in LA, stay to live in LA.
¿Todo bien?
No le gusta.
¿No decían algo más?
Muchas gracias.
Desean. And notice sometimes in restaurants, instead of querer or even quisiera, often in a restaurant, you may hear desean instead of querer. So the one little thing I wanted to point out here is desear, to desire, is the same thing as querer, to want. They're asking if you want something, but desear is often considered a little more formal, a little more polite way of a waiter addressing you in a restaurant, saying, would you like something extra? Y la cuenta, vamos a discutir un poquito más y ahora estamos otra vez en Nueva York. Y Patty sí está aquí y Patty no sabe que su esposo está en casa, claro, no sabe, ¿verdad? Entonces, ella decide ¿qué? ¿Qué decide? What does she decide? ¿Qué decide hacer? What does she decide to do?
Go out for a
Out to
drink.
dinner.
Ella decide salir para cenar o tomar una copa con su asistente. Bien, ¿sí? Ella no sabe que su esposo está en Nueva York y dice, sí, estoy de acuerdo. Bueno, vamos a tomar algo. Let's go get something. Vamos a tomar algo. Let's go get something to eat. Y salen. Y, bien, always they ask you if you want coffee or dessert, right? Postre. Y café. Y dicen que no. Y, no.
Señor, invito yo, por favor. No, de ninguna manera, por favor.
Ninguna manera, no way.
Por favor, no les dije que me invitaron. No, yo dije que me
Ahí
invitaron.
basta, la que invita soy yo.
I told you I decided to do this. She's had enough of this. La que invita, the one who is treating everybody, soy yo. La que invita, literally, the one who's inviting or the one who is paying. La que invita soy yo. I'm the one paying. We would say in English, I'm the one paying. Okay. Ya basta is enough already. And no quiero ir.
¿En qué consiste una cena?
¿En qué consiste una cena? And they just go through this. No tenemos que repasar todo aquí. Pero, esto sí es un poquito interesante.
La propina está incluida en la cuenta.
La propina está incluida en la cuenta. Depending on the country you go to. This is a good thing for everybody to know, and it really depende. It really does depend. Están en Mexico. You should always check your bill because quite often a tip is included. Many restaurants, and this happens a lot in Spain. I'm not quite sure of how many places in Mexico it is the custom, but they will show you propina, tip. And quite often that tip is calculated into the bill. I know in Spain it almost always is. So when you do leave a tip, you can leave a tip beyond what is included in your bill. But know that that is generally done one of two ways, at least in Spain. I would assume it's not too different in Mexico. Because the assumption in many countries is we will give waiters a living wage, unlike here in the States. If the tip is already included, you can decide to either give whatever is left over, rounding up, if the service has been good, or really including a true tip beyond. If you've had fabulous service, you can tip beyond what is included in that bill, but it better be for something really special, for really extra great attention, because you are paying a tip in many, many countries, not all, but in many. So always look. La propina está incluida, it is included. If you are getting something smaller than a dinner, let's say just a little tiny snack and a cup of coffee, or a little, tapa thing with a drink, generally people will tend to tip in those situations with just, if it was 4.5, you'll give the leftover that rounds it up to 5, or whatever that denomination of money is, be it pesos or euros, or whatever. But that business of tipping, always Google it too, because it really, really will vary a lot from one country to another, but also by how good the restaurant is. And you should know to look for propina with an amount in your bill. El servicio ha sido muy bueno. The service has been. That sido comes from ser. Ha sido, has been. Ha sido muy bueno.
Muy bueno.
Okay.
Se debe dejar una propina adicional.
Una propina adicional, you can leave an additional tip. So, okay. Ahora. Están hablando de la situación con don Fernando. You got the day free, he says.
Raquel, ¿no llegan mañana tus padres?
Don't your parents get here? No llegan mañana tus padres. Don't your parents get here tomorrow? And she's like, how do you know that?
Yeah, yes, light bulb goes
How do you
off.
know my parents are coming? Oh, now I get it. Ahora entiendo, ahora comprendo. Better to say ahora comprendo. Now I got the big picture. Yeah, if you just want to say, I understand him, lo entiendo, I understand him, but when you get the big picture, it's ahora comprendo. Yeah, now I get it.
Hijita, te quería avisar que ya tenemos los
And now she's remembering back. Te quería, I wanted to warn you that we've got our tickets.
boletos para México. Te llamé a tu habitación, pero no estabas.
I called your room, but you weren't there. Ajá, ahora comprendo. Okay. La pobre, ahora and that's exactly what she says. Entiendo's out the window. That's just, I understand. Ahora comprendo, now I got the big picture. That's the difference between comprender and entender. Ahora comprendo por qué. Now I understand why Luis ha venido. I understand why he has come here to this hotel.
Al principio no lo entendía.
At first, I didn't get it.
De verdad creía que era pura coincidencia.
I thought it was just a coincidence.
¿Recuerdan?
Hola, Raquel.
¿Luis?
Sí, Raquel, soy yo.
Vaya sorpresa. ¿Y qué haces aquí?
Acabo de llegar a México.
¿Estás alojado aquí en este hotel?
Estás alojado, are you lodged here? So she's asking, are you staying here? Alojado, estás alojado. Alojarse is the same as quedarse, but alojarse is used when you're at a place you're staying in a temporary way, like a hotel. Alojarse is to stay at a hotel, to be lodged at an inn, a pension, a B&B, Airbnb, lo que sea, whatever it may be. So, estás alojado, are you staying at a hotel? If you want to say stay at home, you don't use alojado. Staying at home is just quedar, right? Me quedo en casa, I'm staying at home. But estoy alojada en un hotel económico. I am staying at a kind of a bargain hotel, right? Estoy alojada en un hotel de lujo. I'm staying at a luxurious hotel. Alojarse is staying for hotels.
Sí.
Or
Sí,
at a friend's
ahora
house. Could be
comprendo.
that too.
Seguramente mi mamá le dijo que yo estaría aquí.
Ah, surely my mom told him. Mi mamá le dijo, told him. And she doesn't have to say who the him is, because we know who the him is. Seguramente mi mamá le dijo que yo estaría aquí. Mom told him that I would be here. And it's a would be. It's using all of estar with an ia ending. It's conditional, that I would be here. So when they first did the, charlando, talking behind her back about this, right? It was not an actual event that it was happening, so that I would be here. It was hypothetical in that time when they spoke.
Para mí fue una sorpresa.
For me, it was a surprise.
Yo esperaba estar a solas con Arturo.
Oh, I was hoping, or I was expecting to be a solas, alone. I was hoping to be alone. I was expecting to be alone with Arturo.
Pero no tuve más remedio.
No tener más remedio. I had no other recourse. When you have no other recourse, when you have no other way out of a situation, this is a little phrase they use. No tener, it's got to be a negative. No tener más remedio. No tengo más remedio. I have no other way out of this. I have no other recourse. Okay, so that's what that means. No tener más remedio means you got no other way out of it.
Tuve que invitar a Luis a cenar con nosotros.
I had to invite him. Well, no, she
Yo
didn't.
no sabía
but
cómo
yeah.
reaccionaría Arturo.
I did not. Oh, we've got more conditional. No sabía, I did not know how he would react. Reaccionar is the whole verb with an ia ending stuck on it. So it makes it conditional, how he would react. And again, hypothetical. And this conditional tense always uses ia endings, no matter what kind of verb it is. Conditional tense and future tense use the same endings, no matter if it's an AR verb, an ER verb, or an IR verb. So what kind of infinitive it is for future and conditional, no importa, does not matter. They use the same kind of endings. So all of these endings with condicional, conditional, would do something, are ia type endings, every single one of them.
¿Y cómo reaccionó?
And how did he
¿Le
react?
molestó invitar a Luis?
Did it bother him to invite
Yo
him?
iba
No, no le importaba. Okay. Y aquí tenemos un repaso. We've got more review. And we have the two guys kind of thinking over what they want to do. But you get one more conditional. Arturo dijo que él pagaría. Arturo said that he would pay. We take all of pagar, we put an ia on the end, and it becomes he would pay, hypothetically. Luis dijo que también él pagaría. Luis said that he too would pay. Bueno, y tenemos los dos que
pagué. Claro, ¿por qué no? Realmente fui yo quien invitó a Luis a
it really
cenar.
was I who invited Luis to
Bueno,
dine
ya
with
es tarde.
us.
Y Dios sabe las sorpresas que me esperan para mañana.
God knows what surprises. Wait for me tomorrow. Dios sabe, God knows, Dios sabes. Las sorpresas que me esperan, the surprises that are waiting for me tomorrow. Para mañana, that's our destination date for tomorrow. Y los dos están decidiendo, y él tiene el regalo. Además, Luis tiene el regalo. We've got both of them kind of thinking over, should I call? Debo llamarla. Should I call her? El teléfono suena. Phone rings. Él va a acostarse. She's going to go to bed.
¿No?
And bueno is always the way you answer the phone. I know it looks like good, but when you answer a phone, you often answer, at least in Mexico, bueno. That's the way they answer the phone. In Spain, they often answer the phone with diga. So slightly different ways of answering the phone. Okay, vale, magnífico. Más sorpresas para la semana que viene. More surprises for next week. Seguro. El título, momentito, el título del próximo episodio es Seremos 4. We will be 4. There will be 4 of us. So the title for the next episode is in future, Seremos. We will be 4, or another way of saying there will be 4 of us. ¿Qué va a pasar? No recuerdo. I don't remember what it's going to happen next. No recuerdo. Pero, les voy a dar el próximo episodio la semana que viene. I'll give you the next one to watch. Okay. Bien. ¿Qué quieren o qué creen ustedes? Perdón. ¿Qué opinan ustedes? What do you guys think? Este video también. Espero que ustedes hayan visto. I hope you guys have also had a chance to watch this little video. I believe I gave you this, right, to watch. Luisito con
Sí,
comiendo vegano.
mhm,
Okay.
sí.
Now, he
Hilarious.
probably sounded way, well, of course, yes, hands down, he sounded way faster than what you listened to with Destinos.
I didn't know.
Yeah, what are you watching?
And I'm not going to go through again, of course, but he did talk about kind of taking the challenge, right, for trying a vegan diet. So with Luisito, I figured that you were going to be able to follow a lot of this, even though he speaks faster, but it's a good thing for you to get a feel for if somebody is really talking at a normal native pace, they're going to sound more like him, which is quite a change from what you're used to hearing from Destinos, right?
Yeah, you had, I think in the email you said or maybe you said 70% or something.
Yeah.
I don't think I
And
got
less?
I got much less. I got the general idea.
Okay.
Some of it was his expressions and I mean the whole total thing. But yeah, he did speak really fast.
Yeah, where was the decimal point on that 7-0?
Well, this is probably because this is why I asked for your opinion. So see, now that told me. Now that told me. This is one of his, and by the way, this is one of his slower videos.
Oh,
this is one of his slower, yeah. So we'll probably leave you out of the loop with his stuff. He also throws in a lot of slang. He is very fond of this. He does lots of very, very, very heavy slang. Hey, bro, hey, man, hey, bud. He does a lot of that. He does a lot of cool. Because a lot of people say chido. He does say chido. Chido is a way of saying, well, es muy chido. Todo es chido. Everything's cool. Todo chido, everything cool. And even when you put on the subtitles and he says todo chido, he's just saying everything's cool, but they don't translate it that way in the subtitles.
No.
They never translate chido properly, or they seldom translate chido properly. But at least from what you saw, you could probably pick up maybe 60%, right? Quizás, what kind of food he was eating? A little bit? Sí o no?
Oreos.
Okay.
Probably less, but I think when he was showing things, you know, we filled things in our brain when he was talking about expensive, when he said something was good or not good. But a lot of the stuff in the middle, I didn't
So
get.
mystery.
And when the woman was talking with him, I think she was talking about what a vegan diet was. No,
She was talking about what does it mean to be a vegan. And her point was, it's not just about food. It's also about
the clothes, ropas.
It's about everything. It's about la ropa too. It's about, you know, getting things from natural sources. So, you know, not wearing leather, not wearing fur, wearing only
silk, she said, even so.
Yeah. So see, you did pick up more than you thought. You can at least get the gist. And once in a while, it's good to get yourself out of that comfort zone just a teeny tiny bit, even though it's like super uncomfortable. But I did want to let you guys have some conversation time. I want to ask you if you want to do it as a whole group or in smaller groups. Una conversación de la comida. De la comida, en general.
A whole group would be nice. And
Todo el grupo.
Yeah.
Yo estoy de acuerdo. I agree. Okay. Lo quiero. El primero. La primera cosa que quiero decir es personalmente, para ti, para todos. Sería, would it be? Sería, would it be. I'm going to type the sería on the chat box. So turn on chat box if you don't have it turned on. ¿Sería fácil o difícil? Would it be easy or difficult? ¿Sí? ¿Sería fácil o difícil comer una dieta vegana? ¿Qué creen ustedes? Difícil para
Yo creo
ser.
difícil.
¿Y
Sí.
por qué, Juanita? ¿Por qué sería difícil?
Yo soy vegetariana.
O vegetariana.
Yeah, sounds like Italian.
Vegetariana.
Vegetariana, sí, mucho, más o menos, mucho. Pero vegan es muy estricta y muy precise. I don't know what.
Preciso.
Preciso, muy preciso.
Preciso, muy exacto, muy. Sí, muy estricto.
Yeah, sí.
Estricto es la palabra perfecta. Ser vegano o ser vegana, vegan, ser vegano o ser vegana, es decir, una persona que sigue, follows, que sigue una dieta vegana, tiene reglas muy estrictas.
Sí.
No se puede comer ningún producto de animal. ¿Tengo razón? ¿Ni leche también? ¿O tampoco?
No.
Ni leche tampoco, ni
No,
queso.
Y protein milk.
No queso.
Sí.
So,
Jueves.
Jueves.
No,
Huevos,
Huevos.
huevos, sí. Entonces es muy difícil, ¿verdad? Para mí no sería fácil, nada fácil, seguir una dieta vegana. Creo que podría seguir una dieta vegetariana. Vegetariana es un nivel más bajo, un nivel más fácil de ser vegano, ¿verdad?
Excuse me, Marilyn, are you saying, could you spell out that level? I think that's what you're saying, a lower level.
Sí, nivel, sí. Un nivel menos. Un nivel es a level.
Okay, thank you.
Un nivel menos estricto. ¿Sí? Ser vegetariano sería un nivel menos estricto, un nivel no tan estricto.
Sí.
¿Ok?
Sí.
Bueno, ¿qué creen ustedes? Querrían, Juanita, eres vegetariana, ¿no?
Yo digo pseudo vegetarian, pero yo como pez.
Sí. Pescado, ok. Muy importante. Pez es un animal que todavía está vivo. Entonces, en el plato ya no se dice pez, es
pescado. Sí.
Pescado, perfecto.
Sí. So, pescado, me gusta queso a poco, huevos a veces. Un hamburguesa de In-N-Out Burger.
Una hamburguesa de In-N-Out. El famoso restaurante In-N-Out.
Sí, sí,
Comida muy rápida, ¿no?
sí, sí.
No más.
Y también.
¿Te gusta también?
Yeah, sí.
¿Te gusta también In-N-Out?
Sí, sí,
Bien.
pero, you know, a veces.
Sometimes, sí. A veces.
Sí, sí. Sí,
De vez en cuando. From time to time.
sí,
¿Verdad?
sí.
Hay otras personas aquí en el grupo que son vegetarianos o vegetarianas.
Sí.
No.
Sí, comes.
Ahora,
Sí.
Federico, ¿comes una dieta vegetariana?
Sí,
ahora.
porque en hebreo, este año, yo visité mi médico y ya una oportunidad para aprender. Okay. Y no me gustan las drogas.
Qué buena razón.
Y I guess you'd still say LDL, but anyway, mi LDL es demasiado alto.
Ok, bien. Entonces, la dieta ayuda mucho.
Sí. And this one I had to look up. Ahora qué.
Otra vez.
Ahora qué.
¿Ahora qué? Now that?
Ahora qué. Now what? Okay.
Oh, ¿ahora qué?
Ahora qué. Okay.
¿Y ahora qué?
I can read some more here that I fabricated together if you want. It's not Pig Latin, it's Spanish. You go on. Okay. Nuestro amigo tiene el mismo problema. Y él visité nuestro en mayo. Okay. Now, because my signature is Akbar Day, I'm trying to figure out
Acabar de.
Tell me if I did it. I don't think I did. Okay. El Akbar Day enseñar sobre las comidas de las plantas y no las comidas de carne.
Acaba de enseñar.
Right.
He has just explained,
right.
Taught me.
So now, does May qualify for Akbar Day?
Me acaba de enseñar. He has just taught me.
Right. But I mean, does Mayo, which is May, and today is July, does May?
Sí, se puede decir, sí.
Oh, good.
Más o menos, sí. O acaba de enseñarme en mayo, sí. Acaba de enseñarme en mayo un poco de la dieta.
So what I missed was the May. So it should have been enseñarme.
Me, sí.
Oh, I see.
¿Por qué? Porque recibí la información. Yo.
Sí. Now, see. Okay. Okay.
Sí, claro.
So, no más el pollo loco.
No las.
No más el pollo loco.
No más el pollo loco.
Más.
Triste.
Triste. Pobre
Sí.
Federico.
Sí. Con la dieta de keto, sí, una persona se come, one eats, se come mucha carne, mucha grasa, lots of fat, mucho queso, un montón de huevos, tocino, bacon, casi todo, crema, pero para el colesterol, ahí sí, va a aumentar su nivel de colesterol. Ok. Entiendo. ¿Tienes algo más, Federico?
No más.
Eso es. Ok. ¿Qué opinan ustedes? ¿Algo más? Kathy, ¿tienes algo?
Oh, yo quiero comer todas las cosas. Yo quiero la carne y las frutas y los vegetales.
Sí.
Vegetales.
Y vegetales, sí,
y
vegetales,
queso.
legumbres. Y queso.
Y chocolate.
¡Oh, y chocolate! ¡Ah!
Por supuesto.
El chocolate me ayuda muchísimo. El chocolate me ayuda muchísimo. ¿Sí? No podría vivir sin chocolate, sin vino. ¿Cómo se hace? How does one do that? Ok, a ver.
Yeah.
Sí, Susana.
Pregunta. If you're making a list of the things, for instance, vegetales, queso, carne, pescado, do you not use the article? You
I
could
knew you were
use
going
the
to ask
article
that.
for the first one and then not the rest of them?
If you're using it with me gusta, use the
Yeah.
article.
Okay, for
Okay.
each individual one.
A verb like gustar, use the
Okay.
article. But, otherwise, quiero comer carne. Now I'm just talking about unspecified amounts. Yeah.
Okay.
So now then I can really drop it. Quiero comer carne. Quiero comer un poquito de todo.
Okay.
Personalmente, prefiero comer un poquito de todo.
Mhm.
Mi filosofía es que la mejor cosa es comer un poquito de todo. En cantidades muy pequeñas. En cantidades muy pequeñas, ¿sí? Un montón, no. Una libra de chocolate, a pound of chocolate, no. Un trocito de chocolate, sí.
Yo también.
Así es. Es mi filosofía. Que no tiene ninguna base en la ciencia. No. Pero, para mí, ¿no?
Okay.
Ok. Bueno, ¿qué más? ¿Qué opinan ustedes? ¿Qué opiniones tienen? Sí, Karen, dinos algo.
La doctora de mi esposo le recomendó una dieta que se llama 16-8, ayuno intermitente.
16-8.
16-8.
No sé nada de la dieta. Dime algo.
Esta dieta se puede comer durante 8 horas del día, entonces no se come nada por otros 16 horas. Esta dieta puede bajar la presión sanguínea.
De sangre. Blood pressure. La presión.
Y facilitar la pérdida de peso. Mi esposo ha estado siguiendo la dieta, pero en la noche, frente al televisor, a menudo come algo como las palomitas, galletas, helado, tal vez Cheetos. Cuando le pregunté por qué, me dijo, pues es una dieta. Nadie la sigue.
Sí. Estas dietas son, en inglés se dice fasting diets, ¿no?
Right.
Intermittent
Intermittent
fasting.
fasting.
Intermittent fasting. Quiere decir que una persona ayuna. Van a aprender algo muy interesante. Desayuno es breakfast, ¿verdad? En español, la palabra desayuno quiere decir breakfast. Pero, ¿sí? Ayuno es fast.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's, yeah. It was 16:8 ayuno
Sí.
intermitente.
Intermitente.
Ah,
Entonces, ayunar es el verbo. Ayunar es to fast. Our prefix dis, right? Or d, yeah?
Mhm.
Desayunar es break the
Break the
fast.
fast.
Eso. Y es el porqué de la palabra del verbo desayunar, to break your fast, to eat that meal. Ayunar, entonces, es to fast. Una persona ayuna por lo menos 10 horas, ¿verdad? ¿Se dice 10 horas, Karen?
16 y
16 y 8. Se puede comer durante 8 horas. ¿Sí? Entonces, por ejemplo, sería una costumbre a una persona, si va a practicar el ayuno intermitente, una persona puede comer desde las 2 de la tarde hasta las 10 de la noche. Y después de las 10 no se come nada. No desayunas. No desayunas. No comes el desayuno, no comes el almuerzo. No comes hasta las 2 de la tarde. Y una persona puede comer lo que quiera. Lo que quiera, whatever he may want. Entre las 2 y las 10. Pero la dificultad es no tomar el desayuno, no tomar el almuerzo. Y hay que acostumbrarse a no comer en la primera parte del día. Es un hábito que una persona tiene que practicar un poquito más. Y después de muchos días, no es tan difícil, es verdad. He hecho un ayuno intermitente por una semana, pero no lo hago ahora. No lo hago ahora. Pero sí, traté un ayuno alguna vez. Bueno, ¿qué otras opiniones tienen ustedes? ¿O no tienen más opiniones sobre la dieta? ¿Nada más? ¿Nada más? Ok, a ver. Bueno, entonces, cambiar la dieta es algo difícil, ¿no? A ver.
Marilyn,
Sí,
just a quick question. One of my sentences, I did not put in the word para, but it should be there. And I guess my question is, do I have to have it? Here's the sentence.
Dime otra vez. Tell me again.
Una oportunidad para aprender. So literally, it doesn't need it, an opportunity to learn, but I have to slip in the para, right?
Sí. Es una salud. Es una oportunidad para para aprender, in order to. Para aquí es in order to.
Oh, it's the in order to. Okay.
In order to. Y en inglés a veces decimos in order to y otras veces no decimos in order to, solamente to.
Yep, yep.
I learned to do something, see? It's an opportunity to work longer. It's an opportunity to listen to this type of music. It's an opportunity to practice. Es una oportunidad para, se dice para, y la intención, la idea es decir in order to.
Yeah, I forgot the in order to. Yeah, okay.
En inglés se puede decir in order to o to. Y no importa mucho en inglés. En español sí importa.
Sí.
¿Sí? Ok. Bueno, a ver. ¿Hay más preguntas? ¿O
I
no?
have a question.
Sí, dime, Pat.
I was going to mention this book. It's by Sanjay Gupta.
¿Es nuevo?
Yes. It was published this spring. But if I wanted to say Dr. Sanjay Gupta, do I say El Medico Sanjay Gupta?
El doctor, pues, puedes. If you're using doctor as a title of addressing someone,
Okay.
you could just say El Médico Sanjay Gupta.
Okay.
But if you're using it as like, you know, Mr. Mike Pence, Mrs. Margaret Thatcher, you're using a title in front of somebody's name and you're using doctor as you would use Mr., then it's El Doctor. If you're talking about Dr. Gupta, you say El Doctor Gupta, El Doctor Sanjay Gupta. But if you were to be lucky enough to meet the handsome Sanjay Gupta face to face, and you want to say, oh, Dr. Gupta, it would just be then Dr. Gupta. Oh, qué placer, mucho gusto, Dr. Gupta. If you talk to somebody using that title, doctor, it's just doctor. But if you're talking about them, it's el doctor. And it's the same with Mr. El señor Pence, la señora Thatcher, whoever it may be you're talking about, right? El señor Ducey, el gobernador Ducey. If you're talking about them, you need to use that el la los la. That is a thing that you really shouldn't skip because it's just what they do. But when you address them face to face, then you use the title without the el or the la. Yeah?
If it's a celebrated person, do you ever use the word Don?
Oh, Don. Oh.
When is Don used?
Don no es Don, es Don. Don no tiene, Don Diego, sí, siempre con, y hay una forma femenina también. Entonces, sí, se usa con el primer nombre. Por ejemplo, Don Fernando. You keep hearing that over and over, Don Fernando. Don Fernando is used just with Fernando. It is, well, they do some, el señor Fernando Castillo, okay, but Don Fernando. Don Fernando is a title of respect where you're still paying homage to the person. You're still being super respectful and super polite, but you're on good enough terms with them that you can use their first name. So Don is used generally with somebody's first name. And the female version of that would be to say, Doña Luisa, por ejemplo, Doña Luisa, Doña María, Doña Isabel, right? Don Juan. Don Juan is a thing, yeah, but Don Juan has a different meaning. Don Juan comes because there was a play written about somebody with that name. Is that because, you know, Don Juan also in Spanish has a different connotation as well, right? The womanizer thing. But Don Fernando, Don Andrés, Don Ángel, Don Carlos, Don Ramón, lo que sea, whatever it may be. But doña is the feminine version of that, and generally used with the first name. And usually it is done when you're showing respect to somebody, but you're just on good enough terms that it would sound way too formal to use their last name. You know, you see them on the block every day, you know, especially for little kids. It's a way of being very respectful. But if they see this like grandfatherly person every day, they may use don with that person's first name, because it's still showing that they're not just being some, I don't care, that guy, you know, you're showing some degree of politeness, a degree of courtesy. Es buena pregunta. Pero, bueno, Pat, ¿nos recomienda el nuevo libro del doctor Gupta?
Sí.
¿Es de la salud o de la dieta? O todo.
No, es la salud y el cerebro.
Oh, el cerebro.
It's the name is, I don't know if you can see it. It's
La
Keep
ciencia.
Calm. But
Manténgate listo, manténgate listo. Keep yourself sharp.
Pero es un capítulo como
hay dos
el pensamiento. And he talks, hablo de diferentes dietas, especialmente la dieta mediterránea, la dieta mind, which I'd never heard of, and his own plan, which he calls sharp.
Sharp.
And that, I'll tell you the points of it. Just sus puntos son reducir el azúcar.
Claro, sí.
Sí.
Chocolate, adiós.
See if I can say this one right. Hidratarse intelligente. Drink intelligently, you know.
Inteligentemente.
Inteligentemente, okay. Añadir, comer comida con omega 3s.
Omega 3.
Yeah, reducir las porciones, eat smaller portions.
Sí.
Y planear con anticipation, you know, like plan what you're going to eat so you don't eat junk food.
Con anticipación. Con anticipación.
Is very interesante.
Me gusta mucho. Sí. There are two ways to say anticipation, like beforehand. Con anticipación or de antemano. Antemano means beforehand.
Oh.
Mano. Antemano, beforehand. Exacto. De antemano is beforehand. Yeah. Con anticipación. Bien, sí. Hidratarse de manera muy inteligente, sí. Reducir el azúcar. Reducir la porción.
That'll be the hard one.
Eso sí, sí. Vivimos en una cultura de, ¿cómo se dice en McDonald's? Sí, super size me. No, realmente vivimos en una cultura de super size me, ¿no?
Sí.
De engrandecer todo. Y tenemos que reducir la porción a una cantidad normal.
Sí.
Una cantidad razonable. Reasonable. Razonable, ¿no? Las porciones que comemos como estadounidenses, como norteamericanos, las porciones son muy grandes. Son demasiado grandes para casi todo. En un restaurante es lo peor. Siempre son grandes. Quizás no en un restaurante de comida francesa, pero...
Oh, those are small.
Sí, pero en un restaurante italiano, mexicano, de Comida norteamericana, siempre porciones grandes. Ah, bien. Okay. Vamos a ver. I do want to go through a little bit here. Quiero compartir un poquito con ustedes las ideas aquí del artículo, ¿sí? Cómo mantener, because we're going to come back to this thing of looking a little bit. We're not going to translate everything. If you have questions about it specifically, do shout out. But cómo mantener un triángulo, ¿sí? De salud equilibrado. How to maintain, how to balance, how to maintain equilibrado, right? A balanced triangle of health. Y habla mucho. Miren, cómo proteger nuestra salud física. Mantenga. What I want to point out is the frequency of using commands and what purpose commands serve. They serve to tell you, go do it. And we think of command as being such a formal term. Oh, he's commanding me to, it sounds terrible. The word command sound, we are, wow. We are independent cusses in this country. And we take command as like, no, a command just means go do it, right? Like you would tell your, honey, fix the lock and honey, fix the faucet. That's a command. Yeah. Even I'd like you to fix the faucet. It's a softened command. So, ¿cómo proteger nuestra salud física? Mantenga una dieta saludable. Maintain. That is a command. I want you to watch that because we're going to talk about this with the idea of subjunctive next week. Okay. Mantenga una dieta saludable. Maintain a healthy. That word saludable is healthy. La salud, health. So look at how we build on the word salud to make it from a noun, salud, into an adjective, saludable, healthy. Yeah. There are different ways we turn things from health to healthy, but saludable, hable makes it an adjective. Límite or limite, no, aquí no es límite. Límite would be the noun. Limite el consumo de alimentos poco saludables. Limit the consumption of foodstuffs, alimentos. Alimentos es una palabra muy general para todo tipo de comida. All kinds of foods, right? Foodstuffs, alimentos. Limite el consumo de alimentos poco saludables. The way to say things that aren't healthy or have very little health benefit is to say poco saludables. Things that are very limited healthful benefits, right? There's not a real good way to phrase that in English.
Low in nutrition.
Low in nutrition. Aquí, Kathy, sí. Low in nutrition, right? Like we like to say phrases like, empty calories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, poco saludables. Okay. Bien. But it's saludables because it's talking about alimentos, okay? This is something like el Dr. Gupta. Manténgase hidratado, manténgase. Keep yourself reflexivo. So look at what happens when we make it a command. We've got to tag on that reflexive pronoun to the end because a yes command, we do attach the pronoun. A yes command means you must attach the pronoun. Manténgase hidratado. Keep yourself hydrated. Okay.
Okay, the last sentence in that paragraph, it says, it talks about las toxinas de nuestro cuerpo a través de la orina y de las heces. Través is
I am
What does
looking
it
for
mean,
where that is.
in that context?
Is
Get
this
rid of.
after the hidrato? Perdón. Ahora. Elimina las toxinas, eliminate toxins in nuestro cuerpo, from our body, a través de la orina, through urine.
Through, okay. Because when I
A
look up
través,
través, it means misfortune or crossbeam. And it doesn't,
yeah.
you
You
know.
have to take it as the chunk that is
Mhm.
a través de. A
Okay.
través de. Través means through, running through something. A través de means
Like
by means
traverse?
of. Right, traversing through. Exactly. So we would reduce it to a smaller number of words. We would say through your urine. Orina es urine. Orinar es to pee. It's the nice way of saying to pee. Orinar is to urinate, which is the the very, very clinical way of saying peeing. Yes. Okay. Okay. Bien. A ver. Haga ejercicio. Notice here's another command. Exercise. There is no one verb that says exercise. We have to pair it up with hacer. Haga is the command for hacer. I know haga doesn't really look like hacer, but haga does look like hago. And remember, with an usted command, we have to start with the yo verb first. And then we get rid of the o at the end of the yo verb. And now I can turn it into a command. Okay. I take hacer, an ER verb, and I use the opposite vowel that sounds wrong. So I start with hago, I drop the o. It's an ER verb, I add an a ending, which should be wrong. But that's right, it's correct. Es correcto, it is correct because it is a command. Haga ejercicio says exercise. But we have to say it as haga ejercicio, do exercise, because they don't have a single verb that means that. Duerma entre 7 y 9 horas diarias. Sleep between 7 and 9 hours daily. Okay, duerma. So notice, we make it a command. We start with yo, duermo, duermo. I get rid of the o from the yo form, duermo, and now I can make it into a command. It is dormir. Endings are no-nos for IR verbs, but they're very good for commands. Duerma, duerma, sleep. Dese una ducha. Give yourself a shower. Yeah, this one is a tough one. Dese una ducha. I don't know why they didn't say duchese. Duchese would mean take a shower, but dese una ducha. Give yourself a shower.
Why did
Give
they put
yourself a
those
shower.
asterisks in there?
I don't know. Una ducha regularmente. There is una ducha regularmente. They purposely may not have said daily. There is a school of thought of people who say we shower too much, that we get rid of good bacteria that's on our body. But of course, when you live at 115 heat, that ain't gonna happen anytime soon.
Get rid of them. Get rid of them.
I can't stand myself. Please. Oh my, and go to bed in that, in the sheets. En absoluto, meaning no way. En absoluto, no. Yeah, but I actually know someone whom you will never meet who practices this with hair. Does not do hair, does hair once a month. I thought that was, I know, yay! Se lava, no, de verdad, se lava el pelo una vez al mes. No puedo hacer eso. No puedo hacer eso. No. Bueno, muy obvio. Lávese las manos. So now we see how we form a command lávese, right? How we form a command, lávese. We take lavo, we get rid of the O, and now I can turn it into a command. Lavar is an AR verb, but I use the which is verboten, right? Yeah, forbidden. Lávese. Why do I have a se tagged onto the end?
Reflexive.
Es reflexivo, exacto, Pat, muy bien, es reflexivo. We have to tag the se onto the end. It's a go do it. So for a go do it command, you do attach. An affirmative command, you do attach. Lávese las manos. Ok, muy obvio, muy obvio. Cuide su salud dental. Cuide su salud. Take care. Cuidar. Cuidar is to take care of something, to care for something. Cuido, we start with cuido, we get rid of the o, and it's cuidar, an AR verb. We take the e form to make it an usted command. Cuide su salud dental. Take care of your health. And then look at what they do here. Cepíllese. I don't know why it corrected that as an error. It's not. It's correct. Cepíllese. Brush your teeth. Cepíllese. Cepíllese. Cepillarse. We start with cepillo. We get rid of the O, we add the opposite vowel, cepille, and now it's because it's reflexive, I have to tag on the se. Cepíllese los dientes. Cuide su piel. Cuide su piel, take care of your skin. They use the same thing there. Sométase regularmente a un chequeo médico. Someterse is to submit yourself. That sounds kind of obvious, ominous, very ominous. Submit yourself. Well, someterse is to go in for a checkup. That's what that's about, right? To go in for an actual checkup. Someterse. They use this word someterse with some cirugía, with surgery, because you submit yourself. Yeah, you put yourself under somebody's care. That's why someterse, to submit yourself, because you're putting yourself in somebody else's hands for that exam or for that procedure. So sométase regularmente a un chequeo médico. And you probably heard Luisito using, if you didn't hear this, go back and listen. Check in. Spanish has kind of adopted this idea of chequear. Chequear did not used to be a verb, I don't think, but it is now. Chequear is to check something out. And young people use chequense, hey, check this out. And it's a very slang thing that probably 20-somethings use, but you won't hear with people our age, hardly ever. But they've adopted that because they just love that, the sound of chequear. They've adopted it from the English. Como cuidar de nuestra salud mental, debemos tratar las enfermedades mentales como la misma serie o con la misma seriedad con la que tratamos las enfermedades físicas. This is what Arturo is talking about. We should treat mental illnesses with the same seriousness with which we treat physical illnesses. So, what the good doctor told us in Destinos. Reserve siempre un tiempo para realizar las actividades que disfruta. Reservar is to reserve, to set aside, right? We can use a reservar for hotels, for plane tickets, for train tickets, right? But reserve un tiempo, reserve, set aside time. We would often say this as set aside time para realizar, to actually do. Realizar is not to realize. Realizar is to actually physically get something done. So this is saying set aside time to actually do activities that you disfruta.
Enjoy.
Enjoy. Disfrutar is to enjoy. Okay. Practique is the command for practicar. An AR verb, practique la respiración profunda. Practice deep breathing, right? Practique la meditación y la espiritualidad. Practice meditation and spirituality. Practique el ejercicio. Bien, consulte a un terapeuta. Terapeuta es therapist. Therapist, and that could be used for any kind of therapy, be it physical therapy or mental therapy. Terapeuta is just therapist in a very general sense. Cómo mejorar nuestra salud social. Forme parte de una comunidad. Form part of a community, como la nuestra aquí forme parte. Practique el voluntariado. Practice volunteerism. So volunteer for stuff. Voluntario, there's not a real good verb for volunteering in Spanish. Ser voluntario, being a volunteer, is about the closest you can come. Promueva eventos sociales, promote. Promover is to promote. And mover is an UE or is a UE stem change. So promueva from promover. Any verb that's built on mover will be conjugated just like mover. Like mantener is built on tener. Mantener is conjugated like tener, and promover is conjugated like mover with a UE. So, promueva eventos sociales, promote social events. Mantenga, we were building this on tener, mantenga la mente abierta. Keep your mind open para probar cosas nuevas, to try new things. Probar cosas nuevas, try new things. Demuestre is built on mostrar, a UE stem change. So demuestre is demonstrate. Demuestre or show. Show would be a simpler way of saying this. Demuestre, show, from demostrar. Demuestre un interés genuino por las demás personas. Show genuine interest in other people. Y es el fin, ¿verdad? Sí, es la final del artículo. Okay, so I want you to notice how we use these. We're going to start to talk a little more about this subjunctive next week and why you keep hearing it. Why do you keep hearing it in Destinos? Oh, why do they keep doing this? Okay, so the short story is subjunctive is always talking about a state of non-reality or doubt or something that isn't really happening. You want somebody else to do it, but it's always talking about what one person wants out of somebody else. Okay. If I'm talking about, oh, you heard Raquel say, esperaba cenar. I was hoping to dine. I myself was hoping to do this. But she could have also phrased it as, I am hoping that Arturo will ask me to dinner. And then it would become something else, because then it would be her imposing her will upon somebody else. And she doesn't know if Arturo is going to do that or not. But if she expects to dine, then it's all about me. And the verb doesn't go into subjunctive because there's no reason for it to. So subjunctive is going to be one human being wanting or insisting or hoping or insisting that somebody else do something. And for that somebody else action, Subjunctive is always somebody else action, but we'll form it exactly like what you saw in this article. We'll form it like the commands. So when you hear subjunctive, in a lot of cases, you're starting to hear it in the past form, which is more complicated, but quiero que vengas. I want that you should come. Not, I want to come to your house. That's just all about me. But I want that you come to my house. Now in English, we say it as, I want you to come. No can do in Spanish. I want that, que, you should come. Vengas. So that's why that other person action is going to turn into something we call subjunctive, and it's going to look just like these commands. No different. It's going to look like usted commands all the way through. Yay! So it becomes quiero que vengas or quiero que usted venga. Or you're talking about your mom doing a big shindig for all of your friends. Ah, mi mamá quiere que vengamos. My mom wants that we come. My mom wants that we should come. So this subjunctive is otro animal. It's a little different animal. We don't have a good comparison for this in English at all. Because English goes off in about 5 or 6 or 7, maybe even different ways of expressing that idea. But very little of it in English will sound like the subjunctive in Spanish. But it's easy to use because it's just an usted command. And put it in the right person. So we'll talk more about that next week. La semana que viene. So if you want to review anything, review, how do I do an usted command? Start with yo, drop the o, opposite vowel, the vowel that looks wrong. And that is how we will form all of the subjunctive. So how to form it is going to sound like a wrong conjugation, but why we use it is harder to explain because we haven't got a good comparison in English for you to relate it to. And sadly, it's not here. So I had asked my friend from Chile, hey, sitting at the table with all your relatives and you're talking for about 3 hours, how much of your conversation is in subjunctive when you talk with your relatives for about a good 3-hour talk? Pause. She said, oh, about 40% of the time, about 40, maybe even 50% of the time we use subjunctive in that 3 hours. So it's a good thing to know why they're doing that. And that's what we'll work on next week, a little bit, un poquito. Bien?
Yeah.
Okay. Fantástico. Muy bien. Do you guys want a little video on subjunctive on top of the video with Destinos or not? Is that overkill?
No, I would watch it.
Okay,
I would watch
I'm not going to give you an article to read. We're gonna dip our toe into this because you're starting to see a lot of subjunctive. It's kind of the big elephant in the room that cannot be avoided. But they're going to talk only about present tense subjunctive, which is what you wind up using a lot when you talk with people. And you really do use it a lot with talking with people. So I'll send you a little video on it and it will tell you why we do this. Because what you'll have to get used to is the situations that will lend themselves to this. Okay? Bien? Todo bien?
Yeah.
All good? Okay, we'll stop the recording there.
Adios.